Shalom, family. I wanted to do a video to give a little bit of, I wanted to explain my name or names. And the Most High has recently been changing or adding to my name. Um, and I want to talk a little bit about the meaning that He's given me, the meaning of the name that He's moved me to, and the meaning of it for more than just me, for us in this time period. um, and kind of some additional thoughts. So I want to talk about a couple of things, and so sharing some personal things, but then I'm also sharing some things that are going to be relevant to us as a body. So stick with me. So those who know me personally know that I have a number of names. Those who know me, my family, and my people that know me in real life know that my birth name is Mignon. That's my birth name, and it's the name my mama gave me. And so people that know me from the regular world, that's the name that I'm known by, and my family, that's the name that I'm known by, of course. But also in my family, I also have a. If you are ever around me and my immediate family, like my mom and my brothers, you'll notice that I go by the name. You'll hear them call me Tifa, short for Latifa. When I was like a preteen, it's a name that I was given. It's a long story, but I was given that name, um, and because of the meaning of the name, and so I go by that name by my immediate family. Some of my family calls me Latifa. Some of my family calls me Mignon. Um, so those are two names that I've been known by just in regular life. Um, and when I came into the understanding of who I am as a Hebrew, as an Israelite, as a descendant of the 12 tribes of Israel, um, and as I've come into that understanding, um, and I'm not a Muslim. For my family members, friends, old church members that think that I'm Muslim, they see the name and they see different things, and people assume that you're a Muslim. No offense to those who are, but I'm not a Muslim. I am a Hebrew. Um, I am an Israelite. I am. That is the nationality that I identify with. My ethnicity, my my nationality. Um, um, and so the name, because we know that the scriptures were written in the Hebrew language, right? Scriptures, the what people call the Old Testament, was written in the Hebrew language, and the people were Hebrews. And the main, people of the scriptures were Hebrews. They were, um, and they spoke the Hebrew language. So that's the significance of Hebrew, just a little bit of it, anyway. And so the Hebrew language is very different from. And I'm not going to get into Hebrew on this video, but I'm just saying that the Hebrew language is very um, different from other languages. It's different from the languages that we have today, with the meaning and the significance of it. So that's the importance of the language. So when you're trying to understand the scriptures, and the language goes back to the Creator, and it has a significance to it that is very important. So, but anyway, so the Most High gave me a Hebrew name, when I, you know, a while after I came into my identity, understanding who I am. And so the name that He gave me originally is Yarah. Yarah or Yarah is the root of the word Torah. So Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible, are called referred to as the Torah. But Torah just means the instructions. People translate it as law, but it's more accurately the instructions or the teachings. So the root of the word Torah is Yarah, which it talks about pointing, like pointing the finger. You're pointing into a direction, or to flow in a direction. or it's kind of an archery term with it, where you're pulling back the bow and it's going towards the target. And the Torah is the target. His instructions, his teachings, understanding that is the target. That's the goal, that we're trying to meet and get to. And so the root of that word Torah is Yarah, is pointing towards that direction. It's flowing towards that direction. It's teaching that direction. So he gave me that name as an understanding, because names signify your character, is one thing that it signifies, and or your mission, or it has to do with your identity. And part of what the Most High has called me to do, or the mission that He's given me to do, is to point the direction to His ways, to point to His instructions, to point to Him, to teach, to direct, to flow my life in that direction first, to flow myself into that direction, to walk into that direction, and then to be an arrow to point to that direction. So that is how He has named me. The full name is Yarah Bina Bat Yah. Yarah Bina Bat Yah. Bina is the Hebrew word that means understanding. Um, and I'll come back to that in a minute. And Bat Yah means daughter of Yah. Yah is the name of the Most High. Bat Yah. So the name of the Most High is Yah. So daughter of Yah. So there's a scripture that talks about I think it's in Isaiah. It's a scripture that talks about that we would start naming ourselves by the name of the Most High and by the name of Yisrael, right? I would take on those surnames. And so when I came to my identity, a lot of people named themselves Bat Yisrael, daughter of Yisrael, or men Ben Yisrael, if you ever see those names, Ben, the son of Yisrael. And the Most High told me not to do that, because the Most High has been showing me things that I didn't understand in the past, and that He's giving me more understanding of now. And for some reason, like when most people were naming themselves, daughter of Yisrael or son of Yisrael, tagging onto our physical identity, the Most High told me not to do that. He told me that it's more important that I am known to be a daughter of Him, that I identify as a daughter of His nature, of Him, versus a daughter of the people. So that was the reason for myself, that He told me to name myself Bat Yah instead of Bat Yisrael, because not that there's anything wrong with naming yourself after Yisrael, but the Most High tells me to do things for a reason. And I'll talk about that later. He tells me to do things for a reason, and sometimes I don't understand fully the reason, but I knew that at the time He told me not to name myself after the name of Yisrael. Now I understand, coming to this point in the awakening, and people coming to this understanding of their identity, a lot of it is flesh. A lot of it is focused on the flesh. It's focused on a lot of pride in the identity, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But when you really understand how we've gotten to the place that we're at, but there's a lot of emphasis put on the flesh and not on reflecting the character of the Most High. So it's a returning to a flesh identity versus a returning to the Most High, in a lot of instances. So I realized that the Most High was establishing me. So He was establishing me in understanding that my mission is to direct and point the way, in spite of some cultural misunderstandings that people would try to silence you as a woman, to say that you're not supposed to teach, you're not supposed to point the way, you're supposed to be silent, you're supposed to be, these are deceptions. And the Most High wanted to establish me, to reaffirm to me that this is what I've called you to do. And then also He was establishing me, being I understand, He was establishing my understanding during that season. And then He wanted to establish me not after the flesh of this identity, but continually after His spirit, after who He is, after His character as His daughter. And then also with that, He also had to establish me as His daughter. Of course, I've been His daughter, but for me, it has been a struggle over the years to really see Him as father, to really see Him as a father. Sometimes when we haven't had a father on the earth. Um, and we don't know that relationship between a daughter and a father and a daughter. It's hard to accurately perceive the relationship with the Most High. And it's something that I've struggled with over the years of really truly feeling like a daughter, really truly feeling like the Most High has me covered like a father is something that I've struggled with. So I didn't realize at the time that he was going to, over a period of time, teach me really, help me really embrace being his daughter. Um, so so he gave me that name some years ago, probably like 2011, 2012, 2013, somewhere around, I don't remember now, but somewhere around that time period, he gave me that name. I think it was around 2012 or so. Um, and so Yarah being about YAH. So I want you to see the just the rationale and the purpose and the meaning, because names have meaning and purpose, and it's part of the journey. So for me, I didn't realize, in our civilization, we, in the Western world, like names are just labels. They're just, this is what I call you, just because it's what I call you, and how I identify you versus another person. But in Hebrew, the name has a significance, and in this journey with the Most High gives, you'll see it in the scriptures. He gives names for purposes and for meanings, and sometimes they're transitional, which is what I'm getting to now. And so he's established me in that name, in that understanding. So over the last year, our last year, that's the last 2 years, 2 or 3 years really. He really put emphasis on teaching me about being his daughter. And I really think over this last year, I really, really started to embrace him as father, as Abba. And of course, he's always been, but I've gone through some things that really have really driven it home for me just over this last year or two, last 2 years or so. And I feel like I've, been established in that now. So over the last, so at the end of November, I had surgery. And during the time that I had surgery, it was the end of November. Um, and before I had the surgery, for those who know, I have a younger brother. He's 25. He has Down syndrome. He's pretty awesome. He is very spiritual. He loves the Most High. He is very prophetic. And so whenever he speaks something, it's kind of like you want to hear the words that he's saying and take it to heart, even if you don't understand it. And so right before I went to surgery, my brother had told me, um, he said, the Most High is going to restore you. He's going to restore your body. He's going to restore your soul. He's going to restore your spirit. And he just spoke that to me. So I'm like, I received that. I for sure received that. Hallelujah. And so he spoke that to me. And I can't remember if it was before that or after that. The Most High gave me this, it was a song slash I don't want to say affirmation. It was a song, and it was a song that had like a prophetic word, and it was a word being spoken in it. And he given that to me, and it was talking about restoration and being restored. Um, and and I had, in over the course of, before my surgery in November and in December, um, I just received maybe like three to five confirmations dealing with restoration and renewal. Somebody I had a friend that had a dream that brought that concept out. I had a friend who got a word that, you know, brought that out to me, and a couple of other things that the Most High brought to me that kind of gave that confirmation, right? Um, so some years ago, the Most High had given me, um, it wasn't a name to me at that point, but Arukah Shalom, right? A couple of years ago. And so when he gave me that name, it was at that point in time, I was working on something that was dealing with, I was working on a project, and I thought that I was going to name this project, Arukah Shalom was going to be the name of this project that was dealing with healing and restoration. And so I had that to the side some years ago, but it never manifested, into anything. So So during this time in November, December, when Most High speak to me about restoration, he brought that back to the forefront, and I kept writing out Arukah Shalom, Arukah Shalom, Arukah Shalom. And Arukah is the word that deals with healing and restoration. It's kind of something that is in progress. It's something that is continual. It's something that is like it is extending life. It's continuing life, right? And so it's dealing with healing. It's dealing with restoration, and so that's Arukah. And then Shalom is dealing with completeness and wholeness. So Arukah is dealing with the restoration of soundness and wholeness. Um, and Shalom is the picture of when that's completed. What the goal is to get this. So Arukah is kind of like the process, and Shalom is the goal of being able to be established in wholeness and completeness, where there's peace, there's nothing missing, everything's sound and in order. So Arukah Shalom is the name that kept coming to me, and I just kept writing it down. So finally, in December, I feel like the Most High started showing me like this is your name. This is what I'm changing your name. Is what He started telling me, is that I'm changing your name. I'm changing your name. Um, you know, so I was kind of like, I don't want to change my name. I like my name, you know. But He was saying more so that this is this is what I'm establishing in you in this season, is what He was at first showing me. And then in late December, early January, He started uh, confirming to me that I'm changing your name. And this is your name, and I'm establishing this in you. I'm establishing you in this process of healing and restoration, and I'm establishing, you in this process of, and I'm bringing to Shalom. So He said that for me, right? Um, and I still don't fully, have the full picture of the extent of that. And then also the work that He wants me to focus in is is dealing with healing and restoration, for us as a people, um, and bringing us to Shalom. So the season that we're in, of course, this is the beginning of 2021. We've gone through what we've gone through in 2020. We are in the season of the end days, whether you receive that or not. And we're coming upon the restoration of all things. We're coming to the season of the where the Most High is restoring all things. And that means all things. He's restoring all things. So that means, so in the process of restoration, things have to fall as other things are being risen up, right? So there's things that have to fall down, there's things that have to be uprooted, and then there's things that are being established and built up and planted. Both of those things have to take place. So as the Most High is tearing down and uprooting things in this place, He's also establishing and building up. So He's restoring. He's going to be restoring us in significant ways, individually, but collectively is the bigger goal. So it's been tripping me out with the Most High established, because I'm starting to see people. I've never seen people use the word Arukah before. It's a Hebrew word, but like in the last weeks or whatever, I'm seeing, I'm noticing that different people are using that word, and I think that it's a particular group that's been kind of getting that also. So the Most High just established. So what the Most High is showing me is that it's not just what He's showing me is not just for me. What He's showing me is that this is what He's doing in this season. Like He's establishing it in many voices. So I'm hearing the Most High talk about restoration through different voices, and talking about this Arukah, this type of restoring, healing, this type of process that He's doing. So I believe He's doing that amongst His people who are open to receive it. That He's bringing restoration, and bringing us toward and preparing us for the Shalom. We have to be prepared for the Shalom, this place of wholeness. It's not something that just comes on you suddenly. There's a process to getting there. And so he's causing us to have to deal with things that we have not been willing to deal with, we have not seen that we need to deal with, that we have resisted dealing with. Is kind of like do or die right now in this season. It's do or die. So either we submit ourselves to this process so that the Most High can break what needs to be broken, so that He can uproot what needs to be let go of, so that He can plant and establish, the way that He needs to, because our bodies need to be restored because they're hindering us from being able to go forward, right? Most of all, our minds need to be restored, our mindsets, the way that we perceive things, see things, think of things, um, the way that we relate, the way that we deal in our relationships, the way that we deal with the Most High, the way that we deal with our money, the way that we look at our occupations, the way that we look at our spirituality, the way that we look at worship, the way that we look at everything needs to be restored to wholeness, because He's bringing us to shalom. Shalom is the goal, right? The goal is, so every week we keep the Shabbat. We say, well, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat is a day of ceasing, of resting, and in His shalom, and it's a weekly time of that, that should be bringing healing and restoration to us on a weekly basis. It should be our intention. Yahusha healed on the Shabbat, right? And but it is reflective of this coming kingdom that is going to be shalom. So Jerusalem or Yerushalayim means what? It means the foundation of peace, the foundation of shalom, founding shalom. So this was the capital, this was the center of where our people were established in the land. And we're coming to the new Jerusalem, Yerushalayim. We're coming to the new one. It's going to be the foundation of peace, the foundation of shalom. Everything's going to be complete and whole. This is the kingdom that's going to be established on the earth. So this is the goal. This is what He's bringing us to. But we don't wait till we get there. We're being restored now on the way to getting there, right? So the Most High we're getting close to that place of the restoration of all things, right? So that means that the tearing down of all things contrary to that peace is upon us as well. So He's preparing His people. He's preparing His people. He's restoring His people. And I hear that in many voices. I'm excited because I'm hearing that in different voices. When the Most High is showing you something, and then you start seeing. I've seen some people talk about their name being changed, and I'm like, it's catching my ear, and I'm like, okay. And I'm hearing the word Arukah, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, all right. When the Most High, I'm excited because the Most High is speaking during this time period in a way that is. It used to be that I would hear, like I tune into when the Most High is speaking to people who can really hear Him. You would hear the same things coming out. Just because you hear a lot of people saying the same thing does not mean that it's the Most High. But when the Most High is speaking, He will speak the same. He will speak the same thing. So when YAH is speaking to His prophets, right? When He's speaking, sends out a word, He's sending that message, the messenger out with that message, and it's going out to, whether He's, he's going to rise it up in the ruach of His people. He's always going to send a message out through the messenger, and it's one message, but it's going out to multiple people. So you're going to hear multiple people raising that up. But it also happens with a false prophet. When He says, I'm going to send a lying spirit in the mouths of the prophets, that lying spirit is going to have a particular message that they're going to send out, and they're going to put it in the mouths of many prophets. So just because you hear many people saying something does not mean it's the Most High. But when it's the Most High, you're going to hear the people who truly hear Him saying the same things, if you understand what I'm saying. So you have to be able to have the discernment to make that distinction. Because there's a prophecy that was going out in Christendom dealing with the world of politics that many people were saying, and it proved to be false. So just because a lot of people are saying something doesn't mean that it's the Most High. But when the Most High is speaking, He's going to be speaking a particular thing to His people. So we have to be sensitive to that. So I'm hearing him say that to his talk to his people right now about I'm hearing many voices, and I'm excited because it's I can feel the increase, right? So it's kind of like contractions. It's kind of like they may start off far apart, but then as you get closer to the time of birth, they get closer together. So where I would hear the Most High saying things in a maybe something this week, okay, then I hear something next week, that I'm hearing him say to everybody, and then another week, but now it's like it's multiple things, and it's in the same day. Today he's saying this, and he's saying it to everybody, and he's saying two or three things, and and they're connected, and it's the what do you call it, the frequency is getting, it's like the contractions are getting more close together, which means that there's an urgency right now. That means that there's a seriousness. That means that there's a progression that's happening. So either you are in the in the flow of this water that the Most High is pouring out to this healing water. The Most High, is saying, come, go dip yourself in the water, and you'll be healed. Get into this flow of water, flow of my word, flow of my ruach, my spirit. Get into this flow of living water so that you can be healed and restored in whatever way that is necessary and needed for you to become established in shalom, for you to be in this, for you to be the new Jerusalem, the foundation of peace, for you to be in this. Get into this flow of living water. And if you're not close enough to the water, remember when they had to bring, the guy was looking for healing, they had to bring, he couldn't get to where he needed to get to. He couldn't get close enough. He's saying, you get into this flow. If you need water, and the rivers are flowing, but you're over here and you're over there, this is the time to forsake everything. This is the time. Babylon is falling. Don't fall with it. Babylon's being uprooted, is being torn down. Don't be uprooted and torn down with it. You don't want to be consumed with the wicked, with Babylon. You want to be in the place of being restored. You want to be being refined. I posted a video yesterday, a clip of a video yesterday where I was talking about the fire of not being caught in the fire of not being fully consumed by judgment, because you have these things that are still attached to you, but being refined in the fire like gold, and being purified, so that you make it out, so that you make it through, that you're being refined and not being consumed and destroyed. So we have things in us that are keeping us. We have mindsets. We still have the culture of Babylon. When he's talking about coming out of Babylon, he's saying, come out of the mindset of Babylon, come out of the culture of Babylon, come out of, when it comes to everything, we can't compartmentalize. We can't compartmentalize it like everything. Some of us, we good when it comes to worshiping the Most High, but when it comes to, we don't understand that idolatry that is attached to Babylon. We won't come out. We'll have a whole business or a whole occupation or a whole way of life that is not founded on the principles of Scripture, but that is founded on the principles of this world, of capitalism, of this government here, that's founded on the same type of principles, the same type of mentality. We go about things the same type of way, and it's attached to those idols. And we have to identify that and put those things off. We have to be complete. We are a royal priesthood. A royal priesthood is a full-time job for everyone who calls themselves by the name of the Most High. We are a royal priesthood. So we have to, when you are in the army of this world, you're no longer a civilian. If you're full-time, you are full-time, enrolled, so we have to show up for duty as a royal priesthood of the Most High. We are to be operating as priests. We are to be operating according to his kingdom. That is our call. He's calling us to order. We don't yet see what we saw in the book of Acts. And this is what should be returning in this season. This is what we should start to see, is operations, and not just in signs and wonders and things like that. We are hungry for signs and wonders, but we're not hungry to do what they did. They came and they said they had everything in common, right? So their mindset. So what is it that caused them to immediately start to those who had to give what they had so that they can so that everyone can have and they can have all things in common so that there was no needy among them. What was the mindset that changed when they came and were immersed in the spirit of the Most High, the Ruach? They started change. It started changing their perception on every level, right? Socially, economically. There was a love. And Yahushua said that you will be known by your love. So there was a complete change. There was a complete change to where, despite the political situation at that time, despite the religious situation at that time, the people who were following after the way through Yahushua, that were following the instructions of the Most High, these people that were filled with the Ruach were operating in a way that allowed them to function different, to move different, to be provided for different, because they were taking on the principles of love, the principles of the Torah, the principles of the Most High. They were moving in the fruit of His Spirit. It was a complete difference, and they were able to thrive despite the system that they were immersed in, the system that was around them, this Roman system, this way of this beast. They were able to function differently, and we have to start. That's what we should see in this season, despite what's going on. We see that the Most High is dealing with this place that we've attached ourselves to, that we look to um, for our, we've looked to this place for our very purpose. We've looked to this place, and been entrenched in it for our identity. And the Most High has had to break that from us, and He's trying to continue to restore and reform and renew our mind, right? And we have to, it's game over for whatever we are attached to, whatever we are relying on this system for. We have to allow the Most High to purge us. We have to allow the Most High to purge us. So it's time to come out. So the Most High wants to change your name. For some of you, He wants to change your name. I'm not talking about letters and words. I mean, He wants to change and establish something in you in this season. He wants to do a work in you and through you in this season. He needs you to yield to what He's saying to you so that He can establish that. So I pray that this gives confirmation to some. I pray that it gives a wake up to others, to be able to hear the word of the Most High and to move, so that the Spirit of the Most High can move you to a safe place so that He can establish you in shalom. So I just wanted to share that. So my purpose was to share, just give a little bit of understanding about my name. So if you see, so I changed my profile in the, if you actually go to my page, you'll see Yarah Arukah Shalom, kind of in the parentheses or whatever. But my name, I'm keeping it as Yarah about YAH. And I have my name Mignon. I moved my name Mignon at the end, because I prefer to go by Yarah, but I keep my name Mignon on there, so that my family and friends and coworkers, people that knew me in the regular world can find me. Because even though you got your name up there, people don't really pay attention to it. So I don't want to lose my people that only know me by that name. So, but but the Most High is establishing me as Yarah Arukah Shalom right now, and that will unfold to me more of what that means as time goes on, and as He's establishing us, working healing and restoration of Arukah in us, and establishing us and moving us towards His shalom. So I pray that this has helped in some kind of way, and shalom.